Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily as we're calling our readings through the Johnson edition of the poems of Emily Dickinson. We're in poem 84, Her Breast is Fit for Pearls. This is another Sue poem. However, the only copy that we actually have today, scholars point out, wasn't the one that was sent to Sue, but rather the one that was sent to Sam Boyles, the important newspaper publisher and obviously a longtime pal of Emily's. The her then in this poem has been of some real debate. Is the her in this poem Sue, or as Ruth Miller, the scholar, has pointed out, maybe it's the muse of poetry that really Emily is gesturing towards. And as we've said, guys, so many times in these poems, it's not always easy to know exactly who Emily is referencing with her pronoun use. It's not always clear. Now, our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at LearnStrong.net, down that left-hand side, chats with Emily as our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've been exposed to our introductory set of comments, and I'm hopeful that you have been able to work already through the preceding 83 poems we just finished with Heart Not So Heavy. Let's enjoy now just the reading of this poem, and then we'll try and figure out exactly what references Emily is making here. Her breast is fit for pearls, but I was not a diver. Her brow is fit for thrones, but I have not a crest. Her heart is fit for home, I, a sparrow, build there sweet of twigs and twine my perennial rest. Now, this word sweet, I think, is one of the key words. It's going to take us back to this is my letter to the world, judge sweet, judge tenderly of me. This idea that Emily is speaking either directly to Sue or possibly to the muse of poetry. And what is it that she's saying? I'm not great enough for great. Okay, so this is that kind of self-deprecating Emily that we have seen already in a number of poems, and we're going to see a whole bunch more of these types of poems. Notice, she'll begin by commenting that her breast is fit for pearls. Now, Emily's readers would immediately recognize the Matthew 7:6 allusion, pearls before swine and all of that. But I was not a diver. Now, notice diver is in quotation marks. It's not completely clear why. To think of the poet as a diver who goes to the very, very deep is a fascinating way to read this line. We're going to see already, we have seen already in poem 7, you'll remember, pearls are the diver's farthings extorted from the sea. So we've already seen this reference, the idea of swimming down to find something precious under the water. Notice the second phrase, her brow, as opposed to her breast, is fit for thrones. So notice we go from pearls to thrones. But I have not a crest. And again, this is kind of self-deprecating. I'm not a king. I don't have a crown. I'm not a queen. I don't have a crown. I'm, as she'll say in another poem, I'm nobody, right? I'm nobody. But, notice after the two phrases, but I have not a crest. Her heart, and whoever her is, the she again, her heart is fit for home. Now, I want to challenge you to think about Emily's use of the word homely. For example, just to jump to one example of this, when we get to poem 241, she'll say, I like a look of agony because I know it's true. Men do not shame convulsion nor simulate a throe. The eyes glaze once and that is death, impossible to feign. The beads upon the forehead by homely anguish strung. She'll use this word homely several times in her poems. I want you to kind of pay attention when we see it. She says about herself that she is a sparrow. Now, when we get to poem 498, it will be I envy nests of sparrows. We'll see again the sparrow in 791. Self-deprecating again. In other words, she's not a majestic bird, she's a sparrow. Bill there, sweet of twigs and twine, my perennial rest. Now, the idea here, I think, is that it's the little things that make a poet a great poet, or a great pal, if we're talking Sue. The word perennial is fascinating as well. We'll study this again and again when we get to it. Poems 195, 413, 956, and 1682. And all of those poems, she's going to use this notion of perennial, that which comes back. And of course, the final word of the poem is nest, that which Emily was always seeking. Several of the poems that we'll be studying here in the next few going forward will have something to do with Emily's acceptance. And being accepted by those especially who are close to her. I think at 2A, what we could say here about this poem is that sometimes that all you can do is the little things, because you can't do the great things, okay? At 2B, I love the ambiguity of she. Is she talking about Sue? Is she talking about the muse of poetry? Which for Emily is, look, I can't write the great stuff. I have to kind of, reduce myself to the little stuff. And the fact that this poem was sent to Boyles could suggest an interpretation such as this. At 3A, how can we relate this to other titles that we're familiar with? Do you remember in our study of Wordsworth's Tintern Abbey, what is it that he says makes a great life? Little, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and love. Very similar kind of sentiment here. We gave a full lecture on that poem back at learnstrong.net if you're interested. Finally, at 3B, what was a time when you did the little things because that was all that you could do, and to that degree you helped to build the nest? Thank you.